Sears, Member of Parliament, and also a member of the Alliance for Change. And we need your attention because we have some disturbing news, but also some hopeful news to share with you today. With me today we have Honorable Sherrod Duncan, Member of Parliament, and the General Secretary of the Alliance for Change. He also is the host of In the Ring and FYI. You know, trench crapples and jagabats. So he will be talking with you today. Also, we have the chairwoman of the Alliance for Change, Honorable Kathy Hughes, Member of Parliament. We also have her husband, Attorney at Law, Nigel Hughes. We also have Vice Chairman of the Alliance for Change, Honorable Ricky Ramsarup, Member of Parliament, here with us. We also have former Member of Parliament, Michael Carrington, with us today. We also have the Vice Chairman of the Regional Democratic Council number 10, Mr. Mark Gorin, with us today. We also have some other executives of the Alliance for Change, and you will be meeting and hearing from them today. Ladies and gentlemen, I also want to introduce you to the leader of the Alliance for Change, Honorable Kemraj Ramjatan, Member of Parliament. And like I said, today we bring a message of hope, but also it is our intent to highlight some of the deficiencies of this corrupt government that is leading us today, the People's Progressive Party. And we want you to pay attention to the facts, not to what the gossips are or the fake news are. We want you to listen to the truth and the facts, and that is what we're bringing to you today as the Alliance for Change. So ladies and gentlemen, let's start with our first contributor today. We have Mr. Mark Goring, our Vice Chairman of the region. And I know that there are many issues that are affecting you, and please feel free to approach us. Come, let us take note of it. And the mic will be open for some of you to share some of your concerns as well. Ladies and gentlemen, the Vice Chairman of the Regional Democratic Council, Mr. Mark Goring. Put your hands together for him.
Good afternoon to you, Linden. As Honorable Stephen Sears said, today we bring in good tidings to you. We also want to bring awareness to you of our current border issue. We have a number of executives here who will enlighten you on some of those issues that we are facing. I can tell you from the Regional Democratic Council end, we have been doing our bit to hold this corrupt administration accountable. We will continue to represent you, represent your interests. Our office is always open, Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. to 4:30. You can come into us, you can bring your issue and let us represent you. We will continue to represent all the regional issues. But today, we are here more than ever to enlighten you and to bring awareness to the threat that we face in the West. Our neighbor is bringing a serious referendum against our country, claiming 2/3 of our country. And we want every child, every woman, every man to understand the threat that we face, and so that we can show our patriotism and we can show the resistance that not a blade of grass we are prepared to yield. So give us your undivided attention as we bring the necessary the other speakers to you today. Thank you very much.
To my colleagues with me and to all who is listening, good evening to you. Today we went to Block 22 and we were doing a walkabout and we were in the market area. And it was very important for us to visit Linden because we want to know what's going on in the region. Like other regions, we went to region 3, 2, 5, 6, 7, and we're here in 10 today. So I'm very excited and enlightened to be with you today. But as we went around, there's a number of concerns that we've picked up from you. And it has been across the country. And the top one on the agenda is the cost of living, which has been affecting every single Guyanese in this country. From the cost of living, we want to know exactly how we are being, if you're getting any oil revenue, the money that's coming from the oil, if this is going to impact on you. it is negative here in this region. Because you know why? The current government is focusing on their friends and their family. And that is what you have also here in Linden, because we found out the same thing here. They are special contractors, they are friends, they are family, and some of the favorites. There are some disturbing issues that we found, but I asked my friend, the vice chairman, to deal with some sexual matters with the PVP persons in the regional office. But let's just name a few. This government here don't have a plan. They don't have a plan for any single thing in this country. Throughout the country, we've been faced with heavy blackouts. We've been faced with a lot of environmental issues. We've been faced with a lot of water issues, poor governance, poor construction of roads and bridges, and a whole host of other things. The whole government system that is in place is very poor, very, very poor. And the budget that will be coming up shortly for 2024, these are the issues will be highlighted. Linden is known for forestry, which is the wood, and mining, gold mining, bauxite mining. You guys are now having the quarry mining. How many persons in Linden or businessmen in Linden are within these sectors that I mentioned? Because this is my area. Forestry, the Region 10 Forest Producers Association was very effective when we were in government. And I've seen over the years, over 23 years, plus this recent over 3 years, it has been collapsed. The government started a program. They call it the revolving fund for the forestry sector. The revolving fund was meant to help the forestry sector to become viable. Do you know what they did? They have put it through the banking system. And the banking system now has been rejecting almost every single applicant. I've recently found out that the big companies, which are friends to the government, is the one who are getting these money. And I'll dig a little deeper to ensure that we expose this kind of business and this kind of transaction. My friends, we are in a terrible state. And that is just one of the sector. I just was reading that they're asking now for a partner in the gas to show project to help the financing. And in Parliament, we have asked them, where is the management plan? Where is your financial plans? We have already spent billions of dollars on a project. And guess what? We are fearful. We on this side, the APNU and the AFC, we are very fearful that this project will end up like the one in Skeleton Sugar Factory, the Specialty Hospital, the Amelius Falls project, the fiber optic cables that passes through right here. We are fearful because this is the track record of this government. So I am urging you, Lindeners, to let's hold our head together. Let us not get the jagabats among, as my friend would say, between us. We got to hold our head together to ensure that we fight for stability and to fight for an equal share of the oil resources. A resource that we put on the platter for this government when the APNFC were in government. We have given them enough revenue that each citizen of this country can be benefit. So ladies and gentlemen, these are just a few of the issues because I have a lot of my colleagues who will tell you much more. But I want to thank you very much for welcoming us to Linden, talk with us, and to listen to what we have to say. I want to thank you very much.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Thank you to our Member of Parliament, Stephen says, Linden, how are you doing? Linden, how are you doing? All right. Well, I'm happy to be back in my born town. And you can't take that away from me because I was born at Mackenzie. So I'm happy to be back in Linden. But those days, the Mackenzie Hospital was something. We coming to come. And we were coming to come under the last administration. We took some setbacks, but we can get back to where we need to be. Linden, how are you doing? Happy to be back in Linden. with the Alliance for Change, and because of the kind of message we have this afternoon, I know also the regional chairman, hard-working fella, will be joining us this afternoon as well. Like I want to talk about the PPP, but like I don't want to talk about them all the same. Because we have so much happening in this country. It is hard to have a meeting like this, and you don't talk about the trench croppers, the jagabats, the tadpoles, the cricketers, the Hippocytes, the Hittites, the Jebusites, the Philistines, and the Pharisees. We got a lot of things happening. And that is one of the reasons why we came to Linden. Our western neighbors want more than half of our country. Lindeners, do you know what is at stake? Our western neighbors, the Venezuelans, want more than half of this country. Venezuela got some nice things. Beautiful architecture, beautiful history, and don't talk about the Spanish girls. You see, I ain't gonna knock everything Venezuelan is bad. But you see, when they want a blade of grass, then is where we're gonna have some problems. Not problems, as the vice chair says. And so those folks, the Venezuelans, are nice people. But when you see you want more than half of our country, then is where we're gonna have some problems, Linden. December 3rd, the Venezuelans have a referendum. And they said they want their people to tell them whether or not they can annex the Essequibo. I know for Lindeners, the Essequibo might seem like such a distant place. Such a distant place. You are far removed in Linden from the troubles of Essequibo. But Lindeners, I want to run through a bit of history quickly for you. Hitler started the same way. Hitler in Germany started the very same way. Was a little piece of territory here, a little piece of territory there, and then Hitler had his sights set across the Atlantic. He wasn't content with those countries around him. The Americans realized how serious Hitler was when Hitler marched into Paris. And then Hitler started looking across to Great Britain. And once Great Britain fell, the Americans know he was going to start looking across the Atlantic. You think when Maduro comes and he sees the niceness of Region 3 and 2, he can be satisfied with Essequibo alone? Folks, the stakes are real. These people want to annex more than half of our country. In this whole controversy with our borders, this whole controversy, there's a man called Malé Prevost, a jagabat, a transcripper, a tadpole. He was part of this whole confusion with this border since 1899. This jagabat, Malé Prevost, he's a transcripper. This was the man who, after the borders were delineated, 60 years, Essequibo observed those borders. They said, yes, the Essequibo is now we own. And then this jagabat named Malé Prevost had some minor role in this whole issue. Malé Prevost, like some real cutthroat people, some backstabbers, Malé Prevost left a letter. And in this letter, Malé Prevost says this letter can't be opened till he's dead. And in this letter, Malé Prevost said that there was some cook-up when the borders were being delineated, some fraudulency like how them boys get governance. There was some fraudulency involved. That is what Malay Provost said. But he wanted to let it open up till he did. And for 60 years, Venezuela observed the borders for what they are. And then they bust the letter and read what Malay Provost said. And then is when all hell break loose. Venezuela suddenly decide that a fraud occurred and they're not going to observe the borders as they were legally delineated and accepted for more than 60 years. Folks, if you never know what is a Nancy story, that is a Nancy story. Finally, good folks, I've already told you it's a Nancy story. Don't open the letter till he dead and all kinds of chinkat bring ram good story. Malay Provost left. And then suddenly Venezuela not accepting the boundaries that they accepted for 60 years. You know, we have got to stay on our guards. We have got to stay on the lookout, not a blade of grass. And if we are not united on anything else in this country, we are united on that. We are not, well, I shouldn't say all of us, because I had one fella that Kamach can tell you about. He wanted to give a channel. He wanted to give a whole portion of land to the Venezuelans. I can't say all of us are united. Most of us are saying, not a blade of grass. So let us stay focused, Lindeners. You see? Let us stay focused on the task at hand. Who knows how this referendum is going to go in Venezuela on December 3rd. But we are certain of one thing, and we must be resolved on one issue, not a blade of grass. We ain't given a channel, we ain't given a train, we ain't given a caress, not a blade of grass, not a patwa, not a hurry to the Venezuelans. That being said, folks, thank you for your time, Linden, and we love you, Linden, the heart of Guyana. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Linden. I am honored to join this afternoon session with the Honorable Comrade Ramjitan and Kat Hughes and the entire team, my good friend Sherrod. And I think a lot has been well articulated. You know, I was just checking my phone for the stats of the population of Venezuela as of 2023. And it stands at 28,800,000. Wow. Just 1 million got to cross over. I think they said about 40 something thousand don't cross. But when this government gives you a number, multiply it by 2 or 3, and you can get the right figure. And so we have to be vigilant. We stand. The Essequibo belongs to Guyana. Now just this week, coincidentally, I got a report from a family. Apparently a young Venezuelan girl went to live, was taken in at an addressing industrial area. And just this week, a report coming out from the family is that the woman trying to put the man out of your own family house. So, men, be careful. Now, let me just speak over the next 2 minutes and then I'll hand over. This government would have received an economy that was growing by over 45%, positive growth, without oil money. And the APNU-AFC was able to transform Region 10. All politics is local. So let me speak specifically about the Upper Demerara Berbice region. And so we trained hundreds of young people in the Bertram College College in the public service. We ensured we looked after our senior citizens. We ensured that persons who are on public assistance, the number was 250 in 2015, and we increased it to over 800 by 2020. This government over the past 3 years is seeking to suggest to us that they are creating one Guyana. But when we look at what is happening on the ground, all we are seeing is divisiveness. The government
PPP discriminate against the people of Linden. They discriminate in the allocation of resources. They discriminate in the distribution of the nation's wealth. Many of you heard where hundreds of hampers come to the region, and I say to you, it is your tax money, take it, cash grant, take it. But when it comes, it goes to a political hack. And because they don't have much supporters here, hundreds of hampers are left to spoil at a particular residence in Greenard Street. Many of you know what I'm talking about. And you know about it. And so, as it is right now, nothing is coming to the average Londoner, to the small man. They have started to remove the most vulnerable people from the public assistance program. People who can't help themselves. A woman who suffered a stroke came upstairs in the office crying because she was told by this government and their agents to go to town council for a loan. I don't know the town council is give loan. And so, do not be fooled with what you are hearing, the propaganda on NCN. Your best days, Region 10 and Linden benefited equitably. And we saw the decentralization of services, the passport office. We started to build an RDC building, they took it out of the budget completely. Last week the president was here in Linden at the Linden Hospital Complex to commission an X-ray machine. And you know what they did? There were over 20-something young people who applied for jobs at the hospital, X-ray technician, lab technician, pharmacist, etc. And they told those young people, they ran through the applications, got their contact number, and told them that they were conducting the interviews on Saturday gone. And so when the young people turned up and they told them they had to wear black and white. When the young people turned up thinking that there's an interview they're going for, I mean, they take back. What kind of interview don't happen on Saturday? But, you know, it is what it is. When the people turn up, they place them to fill seats for a photo op. That's the disrespect that is happening to Linden. And so many of the projects that we have proposed that will empower our people. Do you know that the Linden Enterprise Network, building right across there, has 300 million sitting in an account that this government refused to constitute a board so that young people can access loans? 300 million sits in an account. All it needs is for about 7 persons to be, for the board to be constituted, and small businesses can access loans. They've refused. The board that deals with the health of our people and the board that deals with empowering our people, they have refused to constitute those boards. The Linden Hospital Complex, 3 years after, remains without a board. And what happens now is that they allow one person, and that of the CEO, to make unilateral decisions. And that is why you have drug shortages. That is why close to 200 nurses have already left the facility and have gone to the UK. That is why over 30 doctors have already resigned from the Linden Hospital Complex. That is why one man made a decision that too many Londoners are being empowered and trained, and they decided to close the year 1 at the Charles Rosa School of Nursing. Training continues in regions 1 to 9, and they closed the nursing school at Linden for year 1. And so these are things that we are happy that we are able to bring to this forum. Many of you know what is happening at Sports Club, the premier facility. The Minister of Finance sat in the National Assembly and lied and said to this nation that the synthetic track at Bayrock is completed. And in an attempt to deny Region 10 of its fortunes, you know that we have won the championships more than any other region. Emphasis should have been placed on completing this coalition project, but they have slowed it down and they are now, you know, playing politics. And so there is so much more that I can ventilate. I don't want to take up the time. I know my comrades have to speak. But Linden, it was our leader who said, and even in the Barbies River, there can be no development for Region 10 under PPP government. That is a fact. And so what you need to know is that for Guyana, for Region 10 to grow, the PPP must go. Thank you.
Thank you, Regional Chair.
Thank you, Linden. Always good to be here. And I see my sisters over there watching y'all. Y'all having a good time. And y'all encouraging us. And I want us all to know that, like many parts of the world, we having a rough time. We having a rough time. Today, I am so happy that throughout this world, they got people standing up and speaking out for Gaza, for example. In New York and London, all over the place, they are saying that this world cannot allow 11,000 people, 5,000 of which are children, to be slaughtered.
That's right.
And why I'm standing up and telling you this is because fear cannot be our watchword here in Guyana. And I know we get worried, oh God, I won't say anything about what's going on. Let me walk in my corner. But if we don't stand up for what is right and what is just, every day there are going to be people that take away the little that we have, that deny what is rightfully ours. I want to speak about a certain BJ. You all know what we're talking about, right? You know, the man that's supposed to be the vice president, who had his terms but parading as the president and no one to give the real president he work to do. Now that man is a dangerous, evil man. And I ain't frightened, I call him a spade a spade. Now that man alone, that one man alone, has caused so much strife and divisiveness in this country. And it's time we say, Mr. BJ, go through the door.
That's right.
Guyana don't want you anymore.
That's right.
And I want us all to understand. You see, today we're happy to be here in Linden. And one of the main things we're doing is explaining to people that Essequibo belongs to Guyana.
That's right.
Not a blade of grass.
That's right.
Let me tell you, I salute the University of Guyana that had a good discussion the other day. It's ordinary Guyanese going out there, including us, to remind us all that Venezuela must not get a blade of grass. The government is yet to start their PR campaign. I hear they got a man that's close to 90 running the campaign. So no wonder we ain't get anything yet. Because y'all know this brochure and this sticker been around for more than 5-10 years, right? But I really want to say that this Venezuela situation is worrying. And we have to be alert. The first thing I want you to know and understand is that if you go to Venezuela, and I climbed Mount Roraima about 15 years ago, you go in the train station, they got a map of Venezuela, and when you look close, half of Guyana and Essequibo in their map. The reclaimed zone, they call it. So when Venezuela got enough spunks to tell us plain and straight that they're coming for we land, we got to be worried. Because the vice president himself, and you all see him on the little TikTok clips, the vice president himself was giving Venezuela a channel, he call it. If they come in for more than half of your country, and this thing was organized and signed off since 1899,
Yeah.
and nobody touch it or talk about it other than in the last 60 years, you got to worry about whether that vice president is looking out for your interests.
Give away everything.
Give away everything.
Yeah.
Now, I don't want to distress you, but I got a responsibility to give you the facts. And the facts are, they saying we got 22,000 Venezuelans in Guyana. Well, I telling you, we got information that since 2018, it was closer to 40,000 people. Now, I ain't got a problem. We don't have a problem with any Venezuelan whose parents were Guyanese, because our constitution says they can be Guyanese. We're talking about the thousands that we see undocumented, coming in a boat, running down the road, jumping out the buses. A lying or telling the truth? Let me hear. It's not true? I ain't making it up. And yet we ain't see one picture of this government putting the army all around them places standing up, ready to protect us. We ain't see that. Up to now in other countries, the government would have said, no more Venezuelans coming into this country. Let us wait. Let us sort out who we got. And if they come in, we got to make sure that they are refugees. You look at the pictures, they got some strapping, healthy-looking young men coming. So we know they can't be refugees. Now, I know every country got good people and bad people, but we got to be worried if they got more of them coming and they're saying they're taking we country. We went all over the Caribbean and all over the world. But I never hear of a Guyanese going to New York, going to Queens, going to Barbados and Trinidad and saying, we coming to take some of your country.
That's right.
We know that when we move, we go quiet, we work hard, sometimes we do 2 or 3 jobs just to make sure we can make ends meet. And we contribute to those countries. We don't walk in like they're walking now and say, guess what, we here and we taking you country. We cannot accept that. We will not accept that. Now what is bad is that there are many questions that we have to ask this country and this government. First of all, what is the real number of Venezuelans here?
Number 1.
What regions are they in? Number 2. We want to know how many of them in our schools. Where are we getting the money to look after them? Because the International Organization of Migration, we know they're looking after them. They look after migrants all over the world. But if we could only give our public servants 25,000 Ghana dollars, there's 100 US and a little change. That's what we're giving them. We want to know how much money we spending on the Venezuelans right here in this country. Now the other thing that we are worried about, and I'm going to fast forward to 2024 or 2025, when we will have an election, and I want everybody to understand the importance of this conversation. What happens when we got more Venezuelans living in an area than Guyanese? And then they go out and they vote. Worse yet, they can form their own party. Right? They can form their own party, then they can go out there and they can vote. And you and I get born here, got nothing to collect. You hear me? Because they have already come in and set themselves up. So we have to be very alert and very aware. And most importantly, this is not the time to stay quiet. If you're frightened at how you look and you got information, put on your shades, put on your cap, but still do the TikTok. Because I want you to share the information. All of y'all got little stories about all the corruption going on everywhere. I know you're frightened to speak, but left a little piece of paper with all the information and the copies and the receipts and everything. We have to start bringing this corruption to the forefront. And we have to fight the battle. And we have to be ready. Our foreparents, whether they came in chains or whether they came as indentured servants, came to this country and built it. And we ain't gonna have nobody walking just as everything finally going good for Guyana. And we got a little extra money from the oil. We got to make sure we look after ourselves. So Linden, we are always with you. We don't come as much as we should, and I apologize for that. But you know, in the worst of times and in the best of times, we have been here with you. We are always able to be contacted. And I say to you, let us stand up and speak out. And they got many ways of doing it now without anybody knowing who you are. Just make sure the information comes to the front. So, God bless you all. Look after each other, and we'll see each other soon. Thank you very much.
May peace and blessings of God be upon you, my brothers and sisters. I am happy to be in Linden here to address you. The seriousness of Venezuela wanted to take over 2/3 of our country. I born in 1963, and since I born, I know Guyana is 83,000 square miles. And we will keep 83,000 square miles forever. We would not give a peace to the Venezuelans. We will invite them, they could come and live and eat and live here, but not take our country. This country will belong to Guyanese forever. We cannot sit back, my brothers and sisters, and take it easy. It's serious time. Venezuela on the 3rd of next month will vote for a referendum to take the whole of Essequibo.
No way.
Which means Wisma might be a part of it. And Wisma cannot be a part of Venezuela.
That's right.
The people of Linden will not allow it.
Mackenzie neither.
The people of Mackenzie will not allow it.
That's right, that's right.
We have to fight for our rights.
That's right.
We were given this land, we had slaves for this land, and this land will be ours forever. My brothers and sisters, it's not only about Venezuela. You live in a region which is one of the richest regions in Guyana.
That's right.
Gold, the best clay, timber, you name it. But yet, you suffer in this region. Yet, this region is not developed as how it should develop. My brothers and sisters, you have to hold hands together and to work for the development of this region. Nobody must tell you that you can't get this and you can't get that. You deserve to share a part of the share of the development of this country. I love my country and I will always fight for my country. I tell all of them, I will always fight for the betterment of my country.
That's right.
And the people of Linden need to put themselves in order. You need to cooperate. You need to work together. You need to educate yourself academically and skill education. You have vast amount of raw material in this place. All the timbers pass through here to go to Georgia, to go all part of the world. We need to see industry in this area. We need to see furniture factories. We need to see wood product factories. You name it. You have some of the best clay in the whole of Guyana. Could produce ceramic and everything you could think about. You have gold in abundance. So we have to make this region a productive region. So you need to fight for some of the oil money that which is coming to Guyana to put into the investment in this region so you can be productive. And you have the power to do it.
That's right.
You have the power to request it. You had win this region. All you need to do is lobby for what you need.
That's right.
Do not be afraid to lobby. The money in this country do not belong to the government. It belongs to the people of Guyana.
That's right.
Every single Guyanese it just belongs to. And you have the right and the duty to request for what you need. Come up with development projects across the region. Get the accountants, get the people to prepare development projects and submit it to the government. And if the government fails to produce, fails to give you what you need, then you deal with them appropriately by exercising people's power. My brothers and sisters, as I said, we have to be serious. We need to take life serious. If we do not take life serious, our children and grandchildren will suffer.
That's right. True.
Something taking place in this country, you will become second-class citizen in this country.
That's right.
And we do not want Guyanese to be second-class citizen.
That's right.
So you need to place yourself by educating yourself in all fields. If you dig in a gutter, you must dig it properly. If you weed in the grass, you must weed it properly. And I ask you to follow some of the principles and the past from our old teacher, Linden Sampson Burnham. Many cuss him down, but he had a lot of good program for Guyanese. Where we come to value on it, Guyana used to produce a lot of stuff. Guyana used to produce fridge, gas stove, vehicles, the best ham. We used to produce all our milk.
That stop right there.
So we may say that he was a bad man, but Guyana was a productive country at that time. Are we going to make Guyana a productive country again?
That's right.
He may not be perfect,
We're only producing
but he had done well.
It's only
My brothers and sisters, I know a lot of them in other places will vex with me, but I don't care. I wanted to see the development of Guyana and the development of Linden. So my brothers and sisters, everyone needed to put themselves in order to take control of this region. You have to take control of this region or you will lose it. You need to get up and be productive in this community. You request what you want. You have a government, and the government duty is to serve all. So focus and focus and focus, and things will be right for you. Cooperate with each other. Sit down and discuss things with each other. Make plans and work for the development of Linden and the development of Guyana. And say no to Venezuela. You would not have a blade of grass. Thank you.
Our final contributor for today is a man that is no stranger to you. He is a man that speaks his mind. He's a man that comes with facts. He's a man that knows Guyana's history very, very, very well. He's a man that is the leader of the Alliance for Change. Ladies and gentlemen, help me welcome the Honorable Member, Kemraj Ramjatan. Put your hands together.
Thank you very much, Devin.
Right there.
And thank you, Lindeners, for coming this nice evening to hear what we have to say, especially on the Venezuelan issue. But before I get to the Venezuelan issue, I want to inform you that a couple days ago, the Alliance for Change celebrated its 18th year of existence. Could I have a round of applause for that? We are young, and we are still around,
Yeah, that's right.
and we are strong. Young, still around, and strong. And that must be known. A lot of third parties that have come on the scene have had short lives. The Alliance for Change is here and is doing and saying the things that will make us stay even longer. Brothers and sisters, I also want to say that we have what is called an existential threat to our nationhood.
That's right.
A lot of the earlier speakers talked about it. But what it is to be Guyanese of 83,000 square miles, if we have some tyrants like Maduro and Delcy Rodriguez and the others, Zambrano and them, in Venezuela doing their managedness to take away 3/5 of Guyana. And you know what Essequibo is? Essequibo is the richest, most resourceful country that we got. We got to educate Guyanese why that claim is unjustified and reprehensible. We have to ensure that our young children pay attention, and we at home and at school and at the playground must ensure that that next generation know the history of Guyana. You know, we sometimes do not pay attention to these minutiae. We do not pay attention to these things. We feel that we gotta go take liquor. We feel that we gotta go buy nice dandan and all of that, and not teach the children the history.
That's right. That's right.
But I want to tell you that this matter was solved since 1899.
That's right.
Venezuela and then Great Britain were having problems in that border. Great Britain was asking that Guyana's border must start at the Orinoco River. Orinoco River!
That's right.
Venezuela was saying that it must start beyond the Orinoco River. Then they work out two teams of very wise diplomats at that time. And these diplomats work out, because of the history from since 1800, what it is that it should be. And then they send some of the best surveyors in the world.
That's right. That's right.
In 1904, sorry, and 1905. And then the people work out and delineate that present border that we got. And in 1905, Venezuela passed a law inside of the Venezuelan parliament that that is the border between Guyana and Venezuela.
Yeah.
We, in Guyana, under British Guyana, we also passed, well, it was not we didn't gain independence yet, but England passed a law that that is the delineation of that territory called Guyana, British Guyana. 1905, right down to 1966, Venezuela never had any word to talk about that border.
That's right.
You know, it could not produce anything to say whether there was any fraud conducted by the wise men in 1899 or with the surveyors in 1905. They did not have one word to say. They shut their mouths up because indeed it was genuine, that delineation that we have.
That's right.
As soon as they learned that Britain is going to give us independence, they start the madness and the foolishness.
Yeah.
Yes! They know now, because they can't play the fool with Britain. Britain will put them in the place, just like what they do to Argentina and the Falklands. 3,000 miles they went and captured back their couple islands called Malvinas. Well, they didn't want to take the ice and pass Britain. But soon now, as we were about to gain independence in Guyana in 1966, Venezuela start rattle sabering, and they start doing all manner of mischief to ensure that they're going to make a claim to Guyana's territory. 2/3, 3/5 almost of Guyana. Brothers and sisters, therein lies the tyrant's claim that is tremendously unjustified and unjustifiable. They start in 1968 especially saying that Guyana is not what Guyana is in the map. As a matter of fact, it started in 1966. A president then of Venezuela gone and published inside of that Times newspaper of England, it took out an advertisement, and then it says that border is not Guyana's territory, that is west of it.
That's right. The wicked.
The whole of Essequibo, that it belongs to them. Brothers and sisters, a whole lot of Venezuelan presidents thereafter started doing a number of things to to prevent investment in Essequibo.
Correct.
I remember, you remember the Beale Aerospace where they wanted to launch rockets up into the air?
That's right.
Beale Aerospace. It came here, work out an agreement. And then it was, I think, Chavez,
Correct.
who then said, no, you can't do that.
That's right.
And they frightened the Beale Aerospace people out of the country.
CGX was one.
We also saw a big German company since 1970, Dimitrex out of Germany. They came and they wanted to do exploration for oil and a number of other natural resources. Venezuela stopped them literally by saying that if you do it there, it can be unsafe, and they threatened and they bullied, and the people just walk out the place. We also saw other major investors come in, and there it is that the Venezuelan president or the foreign affairs minister of Venezuela talking a whole set of crap and frightening the people. That is one of the reasons why a lot of investment could not have occurred, especially during that pre-1992 period, from independence to 1992. And even after 1992, we were hard put to get investors of very large companies to go there because they feel that it could very well be a war zone. So Venezuela has done us wrong. But you know, when oil was found in 2015 by Exxon, we decided that we are going to ensure that Exxon go out there and get the oil, because we were in no capacity to get the oil. It's 4 mile deep water, and then another 3 mile under the surface of the ocean there to go and find the oil. Barrett Jagdeo and his set of trench scrappers and jagabats said that we did a rotten deal, rotten my ass. You know what he was saying in 1999 when Janet Jagan gave the Exxon people the exploration agreement? He was saying it's the greatest deal.
Nice time.
Nice times will come to Guyana.
1%.
Now, when you have the option of making sure that the people are going to drill for it, they are now having found at that stage 11 billion barrels, and we giving them and arguing the case for 1% more royalty from 1 to 2. They now say that how we did not give a good deal. We wanted an American company to come and drill for that oil. Because I can tell you this, Maduro or Baduro, whatever Duro we got there, they never gonna want to trample on American and Uncle Sam's company.
That's right. That's right.
So it had geopolitical advantages, that oil deal.
That was right. That was right.
And Granger is an extraordinary bright fella when it comes to these strategic issues. A lot of people must appreciate him for that.
That's right.
And so we decided that yes, come on, go into production as fast as you can. Because you gotta remember too, brothers and sisters, the history of this country.
That's right.
Millions and billions of dollars we had to give Gaisuco. Gaisuco was the company that is supposed to bring in the billions. We taking it out to the treasury to pay sugar workers. How long could we do that for? And even the sugar workers appreciated that indeed, if we are going to get another revenue stream from the oil, why not sign the bloody deal? We hard pressed. And so we signed. Brothers and sisters, today, Mr. Maduro and his team in Venezuela has run that country down. The oil company has been run down.
Yep.
Venezuela used to produce in the vicinity of 3.3 billion barrels of oil a day in 1990s. Today they're only producing about 600,000. And 70% of the revenue stream of Venezuela is oil.
Yeah.
So when the production gone down so low, 5 times low, the people will suffer there.
That's right.
And that is why 6 million Venezuelans have exiled themselves, 3 million alone gone to Colombia. This government of Barajak, they want them saying it's only 22,000 there in Guyana. You lie. You got lots more.
Right.
You just go quarantine and you might see 22,000 of them in all them bars and them shops.
Church Street alone got about 15,000.
Church Street here got about 1,500 of them. Brothers and sisters, moreover, Venezuela has become an economic disaster zone. And Maduro still wants to win the elections knowing that he is governed so badly. So what he does, he now come and he start what you call distracting
Yeah.
from his bad governance, his corruption,
That's right.
all of that thing in Venezuela by telling the people that we gotta go and take away 3/5 of Guyana.
That's right.
He wants to divert their attention from his mad governance, misfeasance in government office, and there's a lot of corruption
That's right.
in Venezuela.
True.
So he wants to divert their attention. But I am certain that 20 million more Venezuelans got 20 cents, those who are living in there. Apart from wanting to divert the gaze of these Venezuelans, right-thinking people, this guy also wants to put his hand on the oil that we now
That's
got.
right. That's right. You wicked.
Venezuela, by the way, is the world's largest reserve of oil. 304 billion barrels of oil it got
In reserve.
in reserve. And it can't satisfy its people. You know why? When you get so much a reserve that is known, and they're saying a speculation is that it probably got about that same amount, more in other places in and around Venezuela. When you got a government with all that reserve, and that government can't satisfy its people, it's because that government is bad.
That's right.
And I want you to understand that that bad governance that goes on in Venezuela is now causing this problem here in Guyana. I want you to understand that we are a peaceful people.
Struggling, we struggle.
Struggling, we struggle. And we're not going to take and make any war with Venezuela. We know that we have absolutely no chance.
That's right.
And that is why we had to do and make sure that in 1966, when they started their saber rattling again, for the first time, we went to the Geneva and entered into an agreement that if you want to solve the problem, you saying that it is a fraud, well, you must carry it up to certain processes.
Yeah.
One such process was
Good officer.
a good officer process.
That's right.
You, Venezuela, we, Guyana, agree with one person. I think one time it was Donald Jackson.
30 years.
Donald Jackson was a good officer trying to resolve the problem. And we tried and we tried and we tried for 30 years.
They frustrate
Nothing ain't happening.
They frustrate Donald. Thank you.
They literally were frustrating our good officer.
That's right. It's true.
And under the Geneva Agreement, and this is a history that you all must know, we could have taken it straight up to the Secretary General. The Secretary General, Mr.
Antonio Gutierrez. Recently.
Mr. Gutierrez.
Gutierrez, Antonio.
And Mr. Gutierrez said, we're going to send it up to the ICJ.
That's the great again.
Again, under a new AFC government.
That's right.
Brothers and sisters, Venezuela and Lega,
Yeah.
they don't want that.
Yeah.
They want good officer again.
Yeah.
Because in the good officer process, they felt that they could have worked out a deal with that jagabat called Jack Deo.
Yeah.
That they would have gotten a passage somewhere, a channel. And in that channel, then they could use it to say that they have all that big sea, the exclusive economic zone, that is an area outside of the Atlantic that they would then own.
That's right.
We don't want that, because out there in the Atlantic got plenty natural gas and plenty oil, as we have now seen by Exxon. Discovery of those. It is so very important then that we continue our ICJ court case.
Correct, correct.
And we must understand that that is important, because in a world where wars can see the sufferation of millions and millions, like we see today in Palestine and Israel, that we see in Syria and Yemen, we do not want war in this zone of peace, brothers and sisters. We want peace. And the only way that you can get peace is by a judicial settlement of that controversy, or that dispute. And I want to bring it to you in Linden here tonight. That is the way we must go. Because quite frankly, that is the only way we can go, being a small country.
That's right.
We don't have a chance going to war with Venezuela.
That's right.
It's going to put your whole nationhood at risk.
That's right.
Your state will be at risk.
That's
And
right.
probably half of your population could be wiped out.
That's right.
So we don't want to go there.
That's right.
We want it to be settled by the wise men in the International Court of Justice called the World Court.
That's right.
14 or 15 of them sitting down there.
Making the argument.
And we must make the arguments that our children must know of how and what it is that this dispute is all about. Because we gonna come and we gonna go. As a matter of fact, getting old like me now, we gonna go fast and go soon. But how would we make the children not know? That is the important point. Yes, all these kids, they must learn that that territory that is almost 2/3 of Guyana belong to them. Brothers and sisters, it is essential that what we did in 2018, sending it to the ICJ, goes to a conclusion. We feel that we're going to win it because history is on our side. Justice is on our side. The treaty is on our side. And truth is on our side. All of those things Venezuela vexed about, because it knows that if it goes to court, it will get a good thrashing. How come you want a man that was dead 44 years before to use something from that man to say that the thing was fraudulent? That is a tale from the crypt.
That's right.
A tale from the crypt.
That's right.
And they, Venezuela, want to believe a tale from the crypt rather than the history and the justice and the truth of it.
Correct.
Brothers and sisters, it is vital then that we be united on this issue.
That's right.
A couple of weeks ago, the president of Guyana, Irfan Ali, called the opposition leader and indicated to him he wanted support in the parliament. Well, when it comes to Guyana and its territoriality, we certainly can support. It is our constitutional duty as parliamentarians. It is our constitutional duty as politicians that are worth their salt that we give support. And so, on that day, Monday last, we gave full support and ensure that we pass that motion that Guyana belongs to us and not a blade of grass for any other, including that same Maduro in Venezuela. So, notwithstanding our disagreements, brothers and sisters, and we can get plenty disagreement, because we see the oil monies now going only to one section. We see their PPP's friends and families and favorites and flatterers. You know flatterers? A flatterer is a fella called, we name critic, Bardness. He gone and he do a couple interviews with Jack Dale, and Jack Dale tell he, form a company, I can give you a $880 million contract for make a pump station. The gentleman does not know how to nail a nail. He know for saw wood. But you want to build pumping station. And Jack Dale gave the man the thing. $800 million!
Not the teachers.
He didn't give the teachers nothing, but he gave that man $800 million. Thank God we got some people inside of the Public Procurement Commission, and they've been asking some questions too. Thank God that we got bright people like David Patterson, who then asked some questions and found out that the man violated so much procurement laws. Before you could get a contract big like that, you gotta get 3 years experience with contracts as big. Normally in Guyana, you gotta start small. $80 million, $150 million, this, that, and then you're gonna reach 880. This man found a company sometime last year, the year before. Less than 3 years experience, because that is what the procurement contract law says. And he ain't got 3 years, and he gonna get 800. You know that pumping station? I don't know why it gonna pump out grass when I'm done. With a fella like he, the contractor.
Pump out corruption.
So we want to see a pumping out of corruption. And so we will have our disagreements, because we can't spend money like that.
Correct.
And I want to get to the little local situations just before I close. This corruption rampant all over the place. You know, when we had the flood, a lot of relief was given. And I in Parliament begged, please give us the names, the addresses, and the amounts people got. I know who and who got money. I just got Port Morant, I just got Albion, I just got Blackbush, I just got Region 5. I know basically who and who got. And I'm not being racial here, but let me tell you something. There is a certain section of Guyana that didn't get anything. It is just the PPP support base. And that is terrible. That is not building one Guyana. That is building a divisive Guyana. And what is it that we want? We want a transparency. If you give $5.6 billion in flood relief, put them out there, because obviously you got the names of the people that you pay the money to. If you got the names of the people you pay the money to, you could put all on the website in the Ministry of Agriculture. Put all there. And when they put it there, we will then go and check out, and we will see whether our support base got any and how much it got. And there is one for say, what evidence you got that we racially discriminating? Well, that is the evidence, and the government is supposed to give us. And when it doesn't give us, that is prima facie evidence indeed of discrimination. And that did not only happen with flood relief, brothers and sisters. That happened with the COVID relief. The pink slip. They show their slip, and what is underneath with the pink slip? That is what they did. Brothers and sisters, we also saw with the fishermen relief. That hot water, I think, that we criticize Exxon for throwing into the ocean, or whatever is the cause, fish was not being caught in the amounts. And they quickly go and give out grants and so on to their supporters. So we said, the Minister of Fisheries, please put down the names of the people who got the fishing relief. They don't want to put it down. Transparency and accountability means that you must let the Guyanese people know where their money go in, and not only to one section and the other section in getting anything. That is to create resentment. That is to create vexation of the spirit. And you know, when a country got half of its population vexed and resentful, you're going to get trouble. You're going to get big, big trouble. And their father and mentor in the PPP used to talk about it. I used to come down here, Linden, with Jagan. Jagan used to say, everybody must be made happy.
Yep.
Not only one section. But like they forget Chedi Jagan now. Just like how Maduro forget Simon Bolivar's words.
Yeah.
And I had to quote Simon Bolivar's words in the parliament the other day. Those were great heroes of Venezuela. Simon Bolivar. He said we gotta, in the parliament of Venezuela in the year 1819 or 1817, I think, he said to the Venezuelan legislators after they got independence in 1811, he was a big freedom fighter that broke the back of Spain, Simon Bolivar. And he told them, we might not be able to provide the justice and the virtue and the good governance because we have learned so much from the tyrant called Spain. But we now got to teach the people. And he made a statement like that, that everybody must ensure happiness for each and every Venezuelan. That is what Chedi used to say here. That is what Bonham used to say here. Today what we got? We got a set of people that want to grasp on to Chedi Jagan, but not live the man's teachings and mentorings. And that is a great shame for this country. We must ensure that we enjoy the fruits of this bounty that is called Guyana, which Guyana also includes the entirety of all of Essequibo.
That's right. That's right.
Brothers and sisters, whilst we will have our internal squabbles, and we must keep, because democracy demands that we have a fight in the parliament in relation to making Guyana a greater place, we must ensure that that happens. But we must also ensure, as a united country, we must not let Venezuela take a blade of grass out of Guyana. Not one kuras, not a blade of grass. And we must learn to live with that kind of approach to our politics. Unity for nationhood, but what you call not necessarily disunity, but democracy for a greater Guyana for one and all of its people. That is the message I wish to leave with you here tonight. That is the message I want you now to take, especially to the young people like these people coming out. We want you to appreciate that Guyana belongs to all of us in equitable terms, and we must ensure that we are there to put up that fight. Thank you, and a very good night to you Lindeners. Thanks again.